Namaste, I'm Souvik Datta.
Namaste, my name is Yoli.
So, we have gathered here to talk about a very interesting festival which is around the corner, Mahashivaratri. And Yoli has been a friend for many years. And Yoli, so I wanted to talk to you about Mahashivaratri and Shiva, and especially because you have a very interesting background in the world of Buddhism and Tantra, and your training through your guru in eastern part of India. What is Shiva to you? What can you just tell us a little bit about you and what does Shiva mean?
Absolutely. For me, I was raised in a very interesting indigenous native tradition in a very modern setting, and got interested in Buddhism, in Tantra, just crossed my path very just by fate. And when I went to India as a student, I was all of 18 and pretty wide-eyed, and I didn't quite know what I was looking for, so I dabbled in a lot of different things, and I had the permission to create my own curriculum. So I studied yoga therapy, Hinduism, Tantra, Tibetan culture, Tibetan Buddhism, Tantra, history, politics, and then once I graduated, I really wanted to focus on Tibetan Buddhism, or Vajrayana Tantra, this style of Himalayan Tantras.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of right into my studies was studying to be a translator in Tibetan language, and I sort of discovered that I wasn't at the end of what I was looking for. My family's indigenous tradition was inherently matriarchal, matrilineal. The power of the drum and ritual was a part of it. And I was in something very bookish and buttoned up, and even a little bit patriarchal. So I met my Guruji. I was introduced to him by a very good friend at the time, and I just felt like, wow, I've really come home. And Babaji, as we called him, sometimes we called him Kappa Baba, the Mad Father, was a trident-wielding Buddhist Shaivite. And right away, for some people, it's like, well, what's that? Like, how can you be Buddhist and Shaivite? Isn't Shaivism, isn't the worship of Shiva as concept and person inherently Hindu? But the concept of Shiva predates pretty much any organized religion on earth. Really, on the Indian subcontinent, you had people, at 30,000 BC, at 40,000 BC, on the top of mountains, circumambulating Kailash, and thinking about things, pondering, coming up with early yoga concepts, proto-tantra, proto-Shiva. It's much later down the timeline that we have our seals of Mohenjo-daro and Harappan River valleys. The concept is earlier, and the concept, that really resonated with me, the man, the Shiva, the fatherly figure of the universe, the person who accepts all outcasts and goblins and ghouls, who kind of likes to drum and party a little, is very of the senses, of the earthly nature. And Shiva's relationship with Shakti, his other half. And that made a lot of sense to me, in a very earth-based way.
Wonderful. Few things that you mentioned kind of resonates with me so deeply. One is exactly what you mentioned, that Shiva is very non-orthodox in who his people are. He accepts ghouls, ghosts, guys who are rejected by society, beasts. He's called Pashupati Nath in Nepal. There's a temple to him. But what's really interesting is his connection is at the level of soul. So anyone who has an Atma, anything which has a heartbeat, can feel emotions, he accepts. He is without bias. And so there's this lovely story where he hears Daksha Prajapati, son of Brahma, who is setting the rules and norms of society, and here's Shiva completely disobeying those rules and saying, hey, I just want to live my way, and my guys can, music is a very important part of life. There's rhythm in everything. So he's rhythmic, he's Nataraja, he's a god of dance, he sings, he dances, but everything, he doesn't violate Prakriti. He doesn't violate nature. He is wearing animal skin, but that's a dead animal, already died its natural death.
Right.
So everything about Shiva is that he does not exploit nature, and therefore there is no hunger around him. There's a tiger and a bull living with each other, and they're perfectly fine. So that's amazing. I also want to ask you, because of the tremendous training of Tantra and you being a woman, what does Shakti mean to you? How do you resonate with Shakti?
Yeah, really the equal of Shiva. If Shiva is the principle of nothingness, the background consciousness of all existence, Shakti is the something of that nothing, For me, Shakti is a concept that connects me to my own womanhood, my own femininity, my own innate power as a woman, which doesn't seem to be something that anybody told me about. But I was at least able to discover within myself. Shakti to me is the power of the earth and that Mother Earth concept, and the wisdom mother, Ma Pragya Paramita, birthing the universe through her holy matrix.
Yes.
But one Shiva Shakti, one is no better, no stronger.
Yes, that's brilliant.
Their strength is in their union.
That's true, and we have the concept of Ardhanarishwar, where it's half Shiva, half Shakti, and which I find so interesting. I think if I have to imagine the ideal couple, then I can imagine Shiva Shakti, and therefore all the gods have different festivals around them. Shiva is worshipped on his marriage anniversary,
right,
which is Shiva Shakti Shivaratri, and which is so amazing, because if you see the imagery of Vishnu, then you see Lakshmi massaging his feet, right? And he is he is the preserver of the universe, and Lakshmi is at his service. That's not the picture for Shiva Shakti. You have Kali. And I want to ask you about Kali. I know it's something very, very deep down. You resonate with Kali. So you have the picture of Kali as Shakti standing on Shiva.
Right.
And Shiva is okay with that. And then you have Shiva meditating and Gauri at Shiva's feet. And Gauri is okay with that. So there is this very, very interesting parallel, Liza, where you have the Purush and the Prakriti as equals,
right,
in this imagery. So tell me about Kali. How do you resonate with Kali?
Well, I see myself as a very fierce person, and I even like playing with weapons and like holding swords and like short spears and whatever I can get my hands on. Like I feel like, wow, this is really interesting. Sometimes in my Gurukul, in my Guru's house, we would perform the arati. It could be the spring Durga Puja, Basantika Durga Puja. It could be, fall Durga Puja. But at some point in time, the arati were, our flame, our incense, these things. And then will come the weapons, and long sword, short sword, trident should be there. The gods and goddesses are holding these weapons. They should also be part of the ritual, part of the worship. So, our central deity, really, in my Guru's lineage is Ugratara, the wrathful blue mother, and so much like Kali, that blue-formed fang, slightly pregnant with the universe, in her dancing form, holding trident. She has a garland of skulls, not heads, just a little tiny different concepts in the iconography. But, overall, I see the gods, the goddesses as humans, as people.
Right.
I know that I can manifest such a mood. Okay, am I going to point it in a helpful direction?
Yes.
Or a destructive direction? The destruction is Shiva's job. It's not really my job. My job as Shakti's representative should be some more creation ends.
Yes.
But the play is there. These entities, these concepts, they are within us.
Within us.
When we do our sadhana, when we practice mantra, our sadhana is about practicing the good part and cultivating, the constructive skills. And then Shiva's there for all the destructive ends of things. That's
right. And I want to tell our listeners that you were trained in the most authentic Kamakya centric Tantra place, which is near Assam and that trait in Nepal. So I'm very interested in Dasa Mahavidya because we mentioned Kali, we mentioned Ugratara. So and we were kind of having this discussion offline. How do you think in today's age and time this the divine representation of Shakti as Dasa Mahavidya fits into the social fabric today?
Wow. We need like a whole video just on this, you know. But you know, the Dashama Vidya in a very simple way, these 10 wisdom mothers are 10 stages of womanhood, 10 transformations and incarnations that every woman makes.
And every one of them is divine.
And every one of them is divine in all her glory, from prepubescent, you know, Kumargi, to Madhumavati, you know, and seen as the crone. But like, the more I play and interact and just invent ways to tap into, sometimes I think of them as like energy signatures, you know, that I'm able to tap into this energy. I can manifest my own, I could practice it, I could move it through my nerves, I could worship it on my wall, on my altar, you know, but ultimately I am that woman.
Right.
Should I allow myself to be?
And do you think that somewhere in the social fabric, certain stage of this femininity is put on a pedestal and certain stages are ignored?
Oh my gosh. I mean, just in our, you know, more American Western style, we value more the desirability, the youthfulness. We don't even really value...
So Tripura Sundari is okay, Kamalakmi...
She does questionable things. You can offer her uchishta.
Exactly.
You can offer her your used things, and if we were in any sort of orthodox setting, that would be like, you know, oh my God, you smelled that flower.
Right.
You know, like Mahatangi is like, hey, I will take it all and like Ma Saraswati, carry my veena, teach you about your body, your nerves, your chakras.
Which is more the Bhuvaneshwari energy and
very much so. You know, but once we get into motherhood, it's all in our society. It's somehow like this cliff that we just go down, and heaven forbid perimenopause and menopause. You know, like so Madhumavati, it's something that really had to transform for me. No, she's not the dry, crackling. No, she's not. Fully synergized.
Exactly.
She doesn't need anything extra because she is the smoke.
Exactly.
Of Shiva's
yes. And it's very interesting you mentioned that, because I always had a problem with the imagery of Dhumavati shown as a old, you know, lady, because what I think is that she internalized Shiva, so she doesn't need a man. If you ask me, she is the image of Durga in my mind, where you are independent of any male influence because you have internalized Shiva. I think that's like Shakti and Shiva. Shiva is internalized by Shakti. I think it's a beautiful imagery, and I think it's a very misunderstood Mahavidya.
Yes, I think the most.
The most misunderstood.
Right? And the most that nobody wants to be. If they were superheroes, then you want like the most beautiful, strongest, and some weapons. You know, some weapons also. But I'm thinking about my own need, my own experience in life, and you know, these rituals, Shivaratri, the Durga pujas, really this is about our everyday life.
Yes, it is.
It seems like something very extraordinary, but it's actually about our everyday,
everyday
being your best self.
And one of the things we spoke about earlier was, it's just that this particular day, this tithi, just is like a portal that opens up, and it's very, very important. So if from a very pragmatic standpoint, there might be many people who might be unaware of the ritual part of it. What would be your advice to our viewers, our friends? What they can do from your perspective on Mahashivaratri, which is on March 7th?
Absolutely. Of course, you know, we tap into the very essence of, you know, this portal, so something's opening up. We have a chance to connect Shiva Shakti within us, to explore the marriage union of male-female, Shiva Shakti, but on the most mundane level and the most esoteric level. So even just anything that connects you to you, your breath, the space between the breaths, flame,
Yes.
of course, drum, dance, but I think of like spiral, circle type dance,
Yes.
walking a labyrinth,
Yes.
anything that's exploring the principle itself, but in your everyday life.
Amazing, amazing, and I would also add to that you know many of our friends and viewers may not have access to very broad rituals that are going on. We are going to have our small celebration
Yes.
on March 7th, but people who are in remote places, one of the things that is very important about Mahashivaratri is have fun, because it's a connection of your soul to your body. Whatever, there's a rhythm in life. Rhythm is life.
Yes.
So, and Shiva is where is my statue of Nataraj? So as you can see here, he is the lord of dance. So one thing that I would recommend, as Yoli mentioned, drums, music, having fun, be with people you care about, and share love, because eventually it's loving others and loving ourselves, and identifying that the Atma that we are is the Atma the other person is, and understanding that God is everywhere. So, we from Yoli and myself, happy Mahashivaratri.
Namaste.